Hello guys, welcome to my video, and in today's video I will be revising Integrated Science paper 1 for 2020 for grade 9, because we know that grade 9 will be writing their examinations beginning 29th November 2021, next week Monday. So I thought of it wise that let me also post a video for them that will help them revise and prepare for the exam. And if you are a grade 9 and you are new to this channel, on this channel I teach mathematics, biology, chemistry, and also physics. So since you will be going to grade 10, consider subscribing, because you will accord yourself an opportunity to have a place where you will be coming to time after time for references concerning your work that you'll be doing in grade 10. All right, so let's go straight into the video. All right, so question number 1 reads, the period of sexual development in boys and girls is called. So here the answer is puberty. Let's go to 2. Question 2 reads, the diagram below is of a female reproductive system showing the foetus in the uterus. So we have the foetus in the uterus with these parts labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which labeled part is responsible for the exchange of nutrients, oxygen, and waste products between the embryo and the mother? So the answer here should be 3, which is the placenta, which is the part of the womb that is used in exchange of oxygen and the waste products between the embryo and the mother. So here our answer is C. Then 3 reads, which component of a balanced diet will be required in a greater amounts. Okay, let me read again. Which component of a balanced diet will be required in greater amounts by a manual worker? So the answer is A, carbohydrates. So because carbohydrates produce or provide energy, these are energy giving food. So any person doing manual work will require a lot of energy to do the manual work, and that person will require the provision of food containing carbohydrates. So question 4 is, which of the following is an effect of water pollution? It causes, so when we look at acid, B, outbreak of diseases, C, difficulties in breathing, then D, stunted growth in plants. So here the best answer is excuse me, B, because the effect of water pollution, of course, is outbreak of diseases like cholera, especially in urban populated areas. All right, so let's go to 5. 5 reads, the following diagram shows the basic structures of a plant cell. The following diagram shows the basic structures of a plant cell. Which labeled part is responsible for controlling all cell activities? Which labeled part is responsible for controlling all cell activities? So here the answer is A. This is the nucleus, and the nucleus is the structure of the cell that is responsible for controlling all cell activities. Then 6 reads, a plant showing stunted growth will, let me read it once again. A plant showing stunted growth with very small yellow leaves is lacking the plant nutrient called nitrogen. So if a plant is lacking nitrogen, it will have yellow leaves, very small, and also it will show stunted growth. Then 7 reads, the diagram below shows a model of a molecule. So this is a model of a molecule with this part here representing O bonded to this one representing H, and this one represented H. So we have 2H and 1 O. The model is of a molecule of, the answer here should be D, water. So let's go to 8. The graph below shows the changes in temperature of ice as it is heated. The diagram below shows the changes in temperature of ice as it is heated. So which two letters represent the stage when melting ice will be in form of both liquid and the solid state? Which two letters represent the stage when which two letters represent the stage when melting ice will be in form of both liquid and solid state? So it will be from between H and I, because between G and H it will be in solid form. When it reaches 0, which is the melting point, so it will be changing from solid to liquid between H and I. So our answer is B. So 9 says, which of the following statements best describes weight? Which of the following statements best describes weight? Weight is the measure of the answer here should be D. Force that acts on an object due to gravity. Then 10 reads, study the diagram below on an experiment on light. Study the diagram below on an experiment on light. So we have an incident ray and we have a reflecting surface, which is a mirror, and we have a reflected ray and we have the normal, and the angle of incidence, which is the angle between the normal and the incident ray, is 30 degrees. We expect also the angle of refraction or reflected. We expect also the reflected angle to be also 30 here. Then they are saying, if the angle M is 30 degrees, what will be the correct value of the angles labeled N and O? So what will be the correct value of the angles labeled N and O? So this one will be 30. So we know that the normal makes an angle of 90 degrees with the reflecting surface. So since we know the reflected angle is 30, so if we say 90 minus 30, we'll get 60. So O has to be 60 and N here has to be 30. So our answer is D. Then 11 reads, which of the following components of blood is responsible for transporting water, body wastes, and food nutrients? Which of the following components of blood is responsible for transporting water, body wastes, and food nutrients? So the answer is A. It's plasma. All right, platelets. These help in blood clotting, the red blood cells for transporting oxygen, and white blood cells for fighting against diseases. So 12 reads, which of the following shows the correct movement of inhaled air through the nose? Which of the following shows the correct movement of inhaled air through the nose? So inhaled air here is just air breathed in. So how does air move when you breathe in through the nose? So it has to move from the trachea, bronchus, bronchioli, then it goes to alveoli. So the answer here is D. So let's go to 13, which reads, which of the following describes the best way of preventing or of prevention of sexually transmitted infectious STIs among adolescents? Which of the following describes the best way of prevention of sexually transmitted infections, STIs, among adolescents? So here the answer should be C. Abstinence from sex before marriage. All right, so we are talking about the best. So here they talked about correct use of condoms, consistent use of condom, having sex with a faithful partner only. There are also methods of preventing sexually transmitted diseases, but the best one is just abstinence, which is 100%. So 14 reads, which process removes nitrogen from the atmosphere? Which process removes nitrogen from the atmosphere? The answer is B, nitrogen fixation. And nitrogen fixation is the process by which nitrogen is removed from the atmosphere and changed into nitrogenous compound such as nitrates by bacterium called Rhizombium or azotobacteria or anabena and lightning. Alright, so let's go to 15. 15 reads, a potted green plant which had been in the dark for 48 hours was later enclosed for 6 hours in the bell jar with sodium hydroxide as shown below. So we have a potted plant here that was kept in darkness for 48 hours and then was enclosed for 6 hours in sodium hydroxide here. So the question is, what color would be observed when one leaf from the plant is tested for starch using iodine solution? So since this plant here was kept in darkness for 48 hours, we don't expect it to photosynthesize or manufacture glucose or rather starch. And here also we are told sodium hydroxide was placed. So sodium hydroxide absorbs any carbon dioxide needed to manufacture glucose. So we don't expect the leaf here to show the presence of starch, but it will only show the absence of starch. So the answer here is C. All right, so let's go to 16. 16 reads, the diagram below shows a fresh plant that was cut and fixed at the end of a glass tube. At the beginning of the experiment, the air bubble was at position P. So we are shown this is a leaf shoot that was fixed at the end of a glass tube, and then we are told that at the beginning of the experiment the water bubble was somewhere, or the air bubble was at P. Then at the end of the experiment the air bubble was at Q. After some hours the air bubble moved to point Q. What is the name of the process that caused the bubble to move from P to Q? So here the process is transpiration. Transpiration is the loss of water by a plant through the leaf. So you expect as this leaf here is losing some water, it creates a pressure which also sucks more water to replace the water released into the atmosphere, and that pressure causes the movement of the air bubble. So 17 reads, copper 2 oxide is formed by heating copper in air. Copper 2 oxide is formed by heating copper in air. This is shown by the Wade equation below. Copper plus oxygen gives us copper 2 oxide. This type of a chemical reaction is classified as, the answer is supposed to be D, which is synthesis. So synthesis reaction. A synthesis reaction is a reaction which involves combination of two or more elements to form a compound. So here we are combining these two elements to form a compound. So this one is a synthesis reaction. Then 18 reads, study the electric circuit diagram below. So we have this electric circuit given below with a cell here and a switch here, switch 1, switch 2, switch 3, and then we have resistor. We have R here which seems which looks like a bulb. Then the question says, so this is switch 1, switch 2, switch 3. We have the bulb. Here we have the source of power, which is the battery. Then the question reads, which switches must be closed to make bulb R to light? So this switch 1 and switch 2 must be closed to allow current to flow like this, to allow the bulb here to light. So it is switch 1 and switch 2. Our answer is B. Then 19 reads, the law that states that mass of a substance before a chemical reaction is equal to the mass of the substances that are produced is called the law of conservation of matter. So it is 19. Then 20 reads, a spacecraft that gathers and transmits messages as it orbits the Earth is called, we are supposed to say, communication satellite. Okay, let's continue with section B. So question number 1 here is on the human body. The diagram below shows the human male reproductive system. So this is the diagram we have. Question A reads, identify the structures labeled H and I. B reads, state one function of the part labeled J. C reads, which structure in the diagram is responsible for the storage of male gametes? D reads, what would be the result of blocking the part labeled K at the position marked X in the process of human reproduction? Then E reads, describe one way of observing personal hygiene of the male reproductive organs. So let's go to A. Identify the structures labeled H and I. So H here is the scrotum, and then I is the penis. Then B, state one function of the part labeled G. What is the part, or what is the function of the part labeled G? To produce sperms or male gametes. D, what would be the result of blocking the part labeled K at the position marked X in the process of human reproduction? So I think it will have no effect. Alright, before we go to that, C, which structure in the diagram is responsible for the storage of male gametes? So it is this structure L here, which is the epididymis. The epididymis' function is to store male gametes. So here they are saying, what would be the result of blocking the part labeled K at the position marked X in the process of human reproduction? For me, what I said was that urine will not reach the bladder, but what they are saying is in the process of reproduction. So what would be the result of blocking the part labeled K at the position marked X in the process of human reproduction? It will have no effect. No effect here. No effect. That should have been the correct answer. No effect. Then E, describe one way of observing personal hygiene of the male reproductive organs. So here, washing the organs at least once in a day. Question 2 is on health. Below are pictures of two different children suffering from different nutritional deficiency diseases. We have child child M and child N. So here question A says identify the nutritional deficiency disease in 1. Child M, 2. Child N. B. What symptoms in the picture does child M exhibit that helped you to identify the disease in question A above? C. Explain how the nutrition deficiency disease which child N could be suffering from can be controlled. Then D. Name any other nutrition deficiency disease apart from the ones shown in the pictures. E. Describe the importance of children's clinics. So now let's answer the questions. So A. Identify the nutritional deficiency disease in 1. Child M. So this child M here simply suffers from deficiency of carbohydrates. So suffers from the deficiency of carbohydrates. Then child N here suffers from the deficiency of proteins. And the disease caused by deficiency in carbohydrates is called marasmus, and the disease caused by deficiency in protein is called kwashiorkor. So B says, what symptoms in the picture like here does child M exhibit that helped you to identify the disease in question A above? So when you look at the child here, the child has small limbs or thin limbs which are hands and legs, and also has wrinkled skin. So what we said is thin limbs and thin folded skin, or you can say wrinkled skin. So this one is a sign or a symptom for a child suffering from marasmus. Then C. Explain how the nutritional deficiency disease which child N could be suffering from can be controlled. Explain how the nutritional deficiency disease which child N could be suffering from can be controlled. So this child N, we said, is suffering from kwashiorkor, and the only way of controlling this disease is by providing this child with enough, or with a diet containing enough proteins. So here we said by putting the child on a diet with plenty of proteins. D. Name any other nutritional deficiency disease apart from the ones shown in the pictures. We know that we have what is called rickets, which is the result of someone having soft bones, and it is caused by deficiency in a vitamin called vitamin D. And also we have scurvy or scurvy, or even anemia. So scurvy is a disease caused by deficiency in a vitamin called vitamin C, and scurvy is actually bleeding of blood in gums. So also anemia, it's the loss or lack of blood. So these are also disease or nutritional deficiency diseases. Then E says describe the importance of children's clinics. So children's clinics is important in so many ways. It helps to monitor the growth of the child. They provide immunization against diseases such as polio, measles, tetanus, typhoid, whooping cough, etc. They provide supplement nutrients such as vitamin A. They provide nutrition advice. So when you go there, when the nurses looks at the child and the mass of the child is compared with the months, and when the months and the mass of the child does not tarry or move along, then they have to provide advice to the parent on the way the child is supposed to be fed, so that the growth of the child and the months of the child they tarry. So those are some of, or rather these are some of the importance of children's clinics. So you could have just written one of these, but I had to decide to write all of them, but here they only needed one because 1 mark is required here. 3. Plants and animals. The diagrams below illustrates experiments on growth responses made by parts of plants to stimuli. So we have a plant here which is growing, and a plant here covered in something and with a small opening here through which light reaches the plant. So this is experiment 1. Experiment 2, we are seeing wet cotton wool, we are seeing germinating seed with a shoot going up and with also a root going down. And here we are seeing a shoot bending towards light with some water there. Then A says, what stimulus is being demonstrated in experiment 1, 2, experiment 2. B, state the growth response shown by the shoots in 1, experiment 1, 2, experiment 2. C, apart from the shoots, which other region of growth in the plant is shown in the diagrams? D, why is the wet cotton wool necessary in experiment 1? Right, so let's begin answering. A, what stimulus is being demonstrated in experiment 1? So in this experiment 1 here, what stimulus are we seeing here? So we are seeing a shoot going down, right? Yes. So if a shoot is going downward here with this arrow here, then the response of a shoot towards the earth, going into the earth, is what we call positive Jotropism. So here we could even say Jotropism. Experiment 1 is trying to show Jotropism, and then experiment 2 here we are seeing a shoot and an arrow, a shoot bending towards light. And experiment 2 here is just demonstrating phototropism, which is a response of a plant towards light. So experiment 2 is actually demonstrating phototropism. B says, state the growth response shown by the shoots in experiment 1. So in experiment 1, this growth response shown by the shoot here, we call it positive phototropism. Positive phototropism because the shoot is responding to light. It is responding to light. So the response towards light or in the direction of light, we can call it positive. And it is also showing negative Jotropism. Negative Jotropism meaning that it is responding in opposite to Jotropism. It is not responding to Jotropism. That's what we say, negative Jotropism, meaning it is not responding to Jotropism as it is growing upwards, facing light. Then in experiment 2, in experiment 2 here, the leaf is showing positive Jotropism because it is growing towards light. All right. C says, apart from the shoots, which other region of growth in the plant is shown in the diagrams? Apart from the shoots, which other region of growth in the plant is shown in the diagram. So we are also seeing root here. So the other part of a plant that shows growth is also a root. We could also have said the stem, because the stem also increases in size, but I just had to put the root. So if you wanted, you can also put the stem here. Then D, why is the wet cotton wool necessary in experiment 1? So there's a wet cotton wool here. Why is it necessary? To hold water, to hold the water needed for plant growth. 4. Materials and energy. The diagram below shows an experiment on separation of a mixture of salt and sand. So a mixture of salt and sand here. We are seeing mixture here. We are seeing a filter paper funnel. We are seeing this mixture being poured on the funnel containing a filter paper. We are seeing something remaining on the filter paper and the solution P collecting in the conical flask. Then there's question A, which says state the term used to describe 1. Substance O. Then 2. Solution P. B. What does solution P contain? C. What method could be used to separate the contents of solution P where only the solid part is obtained? D. State 1 industrial application of the method of separation of mixtures shown in the diagram. Right, let's start now answering. A. State the term used to describe 1. Substance O. So this substance O remaining here, it is called residue. Then 2. Solution P. So this solution P which has collected here is called the filtrate. B. What does solution P contain? Solution P contains, since the diagram below shows an experiment on separation of a mixture of salt and sand. So for you to separate a mixture of salt and sand, first you have to dissolve this mixture into water. Then when you pass it through the filter, water and the salt will pass, but the sand will remain on the filter. So solution P contains what? Contains water and salt. So salt and water. C. What method could be used to separate the contents of solution P where only the solid part is obtained? So they want to know, if you want to get salt from solution P, what method can we use? Here I had to say evaporation or crystallization, where you are going to heat this solution to evaporate the water and then you remain with the salt. D. State 1 industrial application of the method of separation of mixtures shown in the diagram. So this method is used in the purification of water. In the purification of water. 5. Materials and energy still. The bar chart below shows the approximate composition of gases in atmospheric air. So we are told that this diagram here contains or shows the approximate composition of gases in atmospheric air. So this is the percentage of gases in air. So we have this one here, number 1, 78%, number 2, 20.97%, then 3, 1.00%, 4, 0.03%. So these are gases here. A says name gas 1 and 4. B says which number in the chart represents the gas that supports burning. C. Identify the bar that shows a mixture of other gases in air. D. State a gas that combines with the gas shown by bar 2 to form water. E. Describe one use of the gas shown in the bar 4. Let's start answering now. Name the gas 1 and D. 4. So gas 1, which is 78%, is nitrogen. And then gas 4, which is 0.03%, is carbon dioxide. So gas 1, sorry, I had to put hydrogen, no nitrogen here. Nitrogen. And carbon dioxide. The composition of nitrogen gas in air is around 78%. Then the composition of carbon dioxide in air is around 0.03%. B says, which number in the chart represents the gas that supports burning? The gas that supports burning is oxygen. And oxygen in air is around 21%. Here we have 20.97, which can be approximated to 21%. So 2 here represents the gas that supports burning, which is oxygen. So the number they're asking is 2. C, identify the bar that shows a mixture of other gases in air. The bar that shows the mixture of other gases in air is 3 here. So other gases in air can be water vapor and also noble gases such as argon, neon, etc. So those comprises or occupy a percentage of 1.00% of the total percentage of air in the atmosphere. So what did we say? 3. So identify the bar that shows a mixture of other gases in air. So it is 3. D, state a gas that combines with the gas shown by bar 2 to form water. State a gas that combines with the gas shown by bar 2 to form water. So a gas shown by bar 2 here, we said, which supports burning, we said it is oxygen. So oxygen combines with hydrogen here. When they combine these two, when oxygen combines with hydrogen, oxygen is O2, hydrogen is H2, they'll form H2O, which is water. So the gas they are talking about is hydrogen. They need you to state the gas which is hydrogen. So the gas here is hydrogen. E, describe one use of the gas shown in the bar 4 here, which is carbon dioxide. Sorry, I never wrote it here. So the use of carbon dioxide is in fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers. Then also it is used in carbonated drinks. Carbonated drinks. It is also used in baking. It is also used in freezing things. So any of these could have been the answer to this question here. So I didn't answer it in advance, hence answering it now. 6. The human body. The diagram below shows the human respiratory system. A, identify the parts labeled Q and T. B, in which labeled part does gaseous exchange take place? C, what is the function of the part labeled S? D, state whether the shape and position of the part U indicates inhalation or exhalation. E, what respiratory disease is caused by cigarette smoking? Let's start answering. A, identify the parts labeled Q and T. So this Q here is called trachea, and T here, T, these are ribs. T, ribs, represents ribs. Those are ribs. Yeah, T, these are ribs. Then B, in which labeled part does gaseous exchange takes place? Gaseous exchange takes place in alveolus or alveoli. So the part which represents the alveoli or alveolus is ara. So it's ara here. Then C, what is the function of the part labeled S? This function here. Oh, no. S here. These are intercostal muscles. So intercostal muscles allow or joins the ribs. Also, they allow the movement of the ribs in and out. So here I had just to say joins the ribs together. Those are the functions, or that is one of the functions of intercostal muscles. Then E or D says, state whether the shape and position of the part U indicates inhalation or exhalation. So this is the diaphragm. So the diaphragm, when it moves upward, like it is like this, or we call a dome shaped. A dome shaped of a diaphragm represents exhalation when the gas is given out or taken out of the lungs. Then a flat dome like this shows inhalation when the gas is breathed in. All right, so here our answer was exhalation, which is the giving out of the gas. Then E says, what respiratory disease is caused by cigarette smoking? There are many. We have bronchitis. This is the destruction of the airways of the respiratory system. So the airways, or the path through which air moves to reach the alveolus, when they get destroyed by cigarette smoking, that disease is what is called bronchitis. Then we have another one called emphysema or epicema. So epicema, this is the gradual destruction of the air sacs. So the air sacs, or the alveoli of the lungs, caused by tar. So also smoke or cigarette smoking. In that cigarette smoke, there is a chemical compound called tar, and that chemical compound tar causes the destruction of air sacs or alveoli, and that disease is called the emphysema. Then another one is lung cancer. So this is the uncontrolled or abnormal division of cells in the lungs caused by cancer-causing substance. So cancer-causing substances, also called carcinogen chemicals, called tar. So this tar here, it is carcinogenic, which means that it causes or it produces a substance called carcinogen, which causes cancer. So these are some of the respiratory diseases caused by cigarette smoking. So even the sellers or the suppliers or the producers or the manufacturers of cigarette, they also warn cigarette smokers to say cigarette smoking is harmful. Yet human being decide to smoke and killing themselves in the process. So cigarette is very, very, very harmful, my friends, reading and also watching this, because you are going to shorten your lifespan before you enjoy it to the fullest. Let's continue. 7 says is on the environment. The diagram below shows a simple oxygen cycle. So we have a simple oxygen cycle here. We have plants producing gas 1, which is oxygen here, I'm sure. Then this gas, oxygen, gas 2 here, goes into plants. Plants produce another gas which goes into what? Into plants. Then they're saying, A, identify the process that occurs in plants to produce gas 1. In plants, it's photosynthesis. Then 2, identify the process that occurs in animals to produce gas 3. To produce this gas 3, it's respiration. Then B, write the word. Okay, here we'll do it from here where we have enough space. Write the word equation for the process that occurs in plants to produce gas 1. So this is gas 1 here. Gas 1, which is oxygen. So that process is what they are looking for. So the process is called photosynthesis. So they need you to write the word equation for the process of photosynthesis that occur in plants to produce gas 1, which is oxygen. So the word equation should consist of carbon or water plus carbon dioxide in the presence of light and chlorophyll makes a plant to produce glucose and the oxygen. Then C, apart from the process in plants and animals, which other process uses oxygen? Combustion or the burning of substances uses oxygen. So here our answer is combustion. D, what is gas 3? What is gas 3 here? This gas 3 here, which is produced by animals here, it is carbon dioxide. Then E, explain the importance of the oxygen cycle in the atmosphere. So it balances the amount of oxygen in the atmosphere so that the oxygen never finishes. All right. So here the oxygen cycle is important because it ensures that the balance of oxygen element in the atmosphere, it ensures the balance of oxygen element in the atmosphere at all times. So animals, we are using the oxygen, plants are producing the oxygen. That is what the oxygen cycle is, making sure that oxygen is always available at almost the same level. Question 8, plants and animals. The diagram below shows the arrangement of the apparatus used to investigate whether carbon dioxide is given off by green plants. So we have this first conical flask with a gas pipe here, and this conical flask contains some potassium hydroxide. So there's air going there. Then there's also this gas pipe or delivery tube connecting to another conical flask with some lime water, clear lime water. Again, we have another delivery tube connected to another conical flask containing a green plant covered, whose pot here is covered with plastic bag, thin plastic bag, excuse me. Then this green plant here, it's here. Then we have this black film covering this conical flask. Then we have another delivery tube connected to another conical flask containing clear lime water, and also we have a delivery tube leading way out here. Let's continue. A. What is the function of the potassium hydroxide in the experiment at stage 1? B. What other chemical reagent can be used in place of potassium hydroxide? C. In the experiment, what is the purpose of the 1. Clear lime water at stage 2, 2. Black fume inside the bell jar, then 3. Thin plastic bag around the pot. D. What change could be observed in the lime water at stage 4? Let's begin answering now. We'll begin with the A. What is the function of the potassium hydroxide in the experiment at stage 1? So this potassium hydroxide here is to make sure that it absorbs any carbon dioxide entering in this air here, because our aim in this experiment here is to investigate whether carbon dioxide is given off by green plants, this side here. So if we allow carbon dioxide to enter here and later on have it coming outside here, how will we know whether this carbon dioxide entered here or was produced by a plant? So first of all, it has to be removed. So by potassium hydroxide. So the function of potassium hydroxide in the experiment at stage 1 is to do what? To absorb carbon dioxide. B. What other chemical reagent can be used in place of potassium hydroxide? We can use at stage 1 here we can use sodium hydroxide or calcium hydroxide. Then C. In the experiment, what is the purpose of the 1. Clear lime water at stage 2? So this clear lime water at stage 2 to show the absence or presence of carbon dioxide. So here it can show the absence or presence of carbon dioxide in the gas which is coming from this side here. Then black fume inside the bell jar. This black fume here, of course, it is to block light. That's all, nothing else that the black fume is there to do, to block light. Then we have thin plastic bag around the pot. There's like a thin plastic bag around the pot to block water vapor or gas from the soil. Any gas that may be coming from the soil here must be blocked. Make sure whatever gas comes here must be coming from the plant here. Then D. What change would be observed in the lime water at stage 4? So what change would be observed in the lime water at stage 4? So for you to understand here now, so since this black fume here will block light coming from outside going inside the green plant, and then here there will be only oxygen that will reach this place here. And since in our experiment we are here to investigate whether a green plant produces carbon dioxide or not, what you should understand is that yes, green plants produces carbon dioxide at night. That's why it is very dangerous to keep green plants in the house together with you, because they are also using oxygen at night and producing carbon dioxide in the night and making the room full of carbon dioxide. So here what it means now here is that this oxygen, when it reaches here, because there will be no carbon dioxide will be absorbed. So only oxygen will reach here. So oxygen in darkness is absorbed by the plant, and this plant produces carbon dioxide. And this carbon dioxide, when it goes here, it turns this lime water milky. What change would be observed in the stage at stage 4, in the lime water at stage 4? So what we said is there will turn, this is wrong, so let's say lime water will turn milky or whitish. Let's continue. Question 9 is on materials and energy. The diagram below shows some instruments connected in the circuit diagram as well as 3 cells with a voltage of 2 volt each. The diagram below shows some instrument connected in the circuit diagram as well as 3 cells with a voltage of 2 volt each. Alright, then A, name instrument X. B, this instrument X. B, what is the difference in the way instrument X and Y are connected? What is the difference in the way this instrument X and Y are connected? So to name instrument X is just an ammeter. Then B, what is the difference in the way X and W are connected? X is connected in series while W is connected in parallel. So X is connected in series while W is connected in parallel. Then let's bring back the diagram. What does instrument W measure? This instrument W measure, it just measures voltage. Then write a formula used to express the relationship between current, voltage, and the resistor. So voltage is equal to current times resistor. I is for current, then R is for resistance, then V is for voltage. Yeah. Then question E says, what would be the reading on instrument W if the switch is closed? So you had to put 2 volt. I didn't read this other one here which says each. If there are 3 cells, each is 2 volt. So it will mean 2 times 3, which will be 6 volt. So in this circuit, there is 6 volt circulating. So meaning that even this voltmeter here will read 6 volts as opposed to the 2 I wrote. This was wrong. I didn't read properly. So this is 6 volts. Then mention one use of electricity in homes. So it is used in lighting. You could have said lighting, cooking, powering electrical appliances. Then let's go to the last question, materials and energy. The diagram below illustrates transmission of radio signals. So we have the radio here, we have a tower here, another tower here, we have a radio station here where the journalist is trying to program some radio programming there. Then they're saying, okay, let's go back. They're saying, in what form do the radio signals travel from party 3 here to party 1 here? So these radio signals here, they move from here to part 1 here in what we call radio waves or microwaves. Then B, identify part G. So we need to identify part G here. So part G, we said this is a sender transmitter. So this one sends the signal. So we call it sender transmitter. Then C, what are the functions of the parts labeled Y and W? So there's this part here, I mean Y and Z here. So this Z, it is to relay the signal. So to relay, it is to receive and pass. Then W, it is to receive. So Z relays the radio waves, while Y receives the radio waves. D, what would be the effect on the radio if the structure Z at part 2 is removed? So this structure here, if it is removed here, they remove this tower here, the relay transmitter is removed. There will be no signal at the radio will lose its signal. So what we said is the radio will lose the signal. Then E, explain how we are able to watch a television. Let me read again. Explain how we are able to watch on a television a game played in another part of the country at the same time as it is being played. So it is through the use of what we call telecom satellites that are set high in the sky to receive and transmit here, transit or transmit signals over long distances. So what happens at the station or at the ground where the match is being played, there are cameras. Those cameras are transmitting the signal. So there are cameras capturing, going into a sender transmitter. A sender transmitter sends the signal into a satellite. A satellite sends the signal into a receiver transmitter. It goes into a broadcasting station, sends the signal to the users. That's how we are able to get the transmission. Alright guys, at this point we have come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing because I'll be posting another one tomorrow for Mathematics 2021 for externals, and I'll also post another one for integrated science. There are 3 more remaining. So if you are not going to subscribe, you will not be notified, and hence you deny yourself an opportunity to revise and prepare adequately before you actually sit for the exam. And if you have found value in this video, just for appreciation, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't found any value in this video, give me a thumbs down, and also comment so that I can make some improvements in my next video. As for now guys, bye and peace.